Okay, so now that I have the sort functionality working correctly, what I also want to do is have a search page. So if we go into the slash search page, this is where we want to search by the title. So type in something in the import and then press go, and we will search for the hotel. So going back into my code, I now have the card component rendering the sort and all of the hotels. I need to create a new component. So I'm going to create a new folder named search. And in search, I'm going to create a new file called index.tsx, and I'm going to do RAFCE as my React functional snippet. And this component is going to be called search, like so. And this is a React functional component, so I'll just declare that type here as well. So now if I save, what I want to do is go into my app.tsx and render that. So simply just copy this as a lazy loaded component. And if you want to know more about lazy loading and code splitting, I'll link a video in the description on what we do here and how we code split to enhance and increase the performance of the app. So I'll leave that in the description. But essentially, instead of React Query destinations, I'm going to call this one search. And this is being imported from component slash search, like so. So all I want to do now is create a new path here, and it's going to be slash search, like so. And instead of React Query destination, this is going to be the search component that we have imported at the top here. So now if I save and we refresh the page, you can see here, instead of the not found, it is showing the search. So if I close this down, we don't need it anymore. And I close down the index.css as we don't need that. What I also want to do is, if we're going back into our card component, this use effect here we do need, so I'm just going to bring that in because essentially we want to get access to all of the hotels in our database. So if I paste that in here and import the relevant one, so import use effect from React, on snapshot from Firebase, and also query snapshot and the document data. We also need to import the hotels collection from our Firebase lib folder. So if we go into this, the hotels collection is essentially a collection that gets access to our Firestore in here. And then we want to get access to the document in here called hotels, which is essentially this document here. So going back in index.tsx, we need to have the hotels. So essentially what I'm going to do is create some state. So const hotels and set hotels, which is equal to useState, which we need to import from React also, and then also the new hotel type, which is the type we expect to have within our hotels array. So now if I save that, that is the first part set up. So now what we want to do is create an import for this. So if we go in here and create a search import of type text, which is correct, this is going to have a class name of import search. And we're also going to have a placeholder of search for a hotel. So if I save that, what I also want to do is have a div around the import, because we will be having a button after the import. So if we bring this import up and then a button just saying go inside, and essentially this will have an on click. So let's create that equal to a function that we will create called handle search. So I'll just need to declare that to get rid of the error. So handle search is equal to console log, and it's going to be a string of go, like so. And we'll just do that for now. So if we go back into the browser, and we also need to save the page, so files save. So we should have an import and a button showing on the page. So if we refresh, there we go. So we have search for a hotel, and we can press go. And if I inspect, we should have the console log of go there. So you can see now that that function is connected to the button. What we also want to do is now, whenever we type here, we need to console log what is being updated. So there is two ways of doing this. So we can do the useState and the useRef. The useRef is better for performance, so we will do that second. So I'll show you the useState one first. So essentially what I'm going to do is create a new state in here called search. The const search and set search. So let me just fix this. And essentially it's going to be a string. So the value of search is going to be in the input in here, and then we're also going to have an on change of when we press in the import, that is an event, and when we type in, we want to get essentially the new value of that. So when I click handle search, I want to essentially get the value of whatever is in search. So instead of console log go, I'm going to do console log of search in here. And then just to make sure I know that this is the search, I'm just going to put a string of search there. So now let's see in the console if that is rendering. So I'm just going to type in hello. And if I press go, we can see here the value is being tracked now within the piece of state. So what I want to do now is essentially search for the value of hello and then render that out onto the page. So what I want to essentially do is get access to the hotels, and if the title of hotels is equal to the value of the search that we type in, then we want to render that out onto the page. Otherwise, we want to say no hotels are found. So first of all, what I want to do is create a new array called filter hotels. So a new piece of state, sorry. So filtered hotels and set filtered hotels will be the same as new hotel type. So now what we want to do is create this new filtered hotels based on what we type into the search. So essentially, we are getting access to the search in here. So what I now want to do is get access to the all the hotels, and then we want to filter them out into the set filtered hotels. So we'll just do that now. So what I want to do is console log, or we'll do const filtered is equal to hotels.filter, which is essentially all the list of our hotels. And for each hotel, I want to return the hotel.title dot two lowercase, so make them all lowercase. And if it includes the search, then essentially what we want to do is return that. So now I want to console log the filtered hotels, or the filtered is what I've called it here. And hotel.title, if we just go here, is possibly undefined. So what we can do is in here, we could do or undefined like so. But again, this is still going to not work. So what I would do here in this case is I know that it's going to return a hotel type, so it's definitely going to be there. So what I can do is put an exclamation mark here. So in TypeScript, that means that it's definitely going to be there. And that is only the case when search is matching, or the search is included into the hotel.title. So now what I want to do is create a guard clause in here. So that is essentially saying that if this condition is met, then just stop at this point in the function. So the condition that I want to check is if search is triple equal to an empty string, then we just want to return. So that means if the user has nothing as a value within the input, then we just want to return. So as you can see here, the initial state is an empty string anyway. So now what I want to do is save this and essentially check what filtered is in here. So if I just go into the hotels here, and I'm just going to check a title first of all. So I have Lemma House Point Reyes, and I also have another collection. Let me just check. This one's Sofitel. So if I type that one in, I should essentially get that back as a filtered hotel. So Sofitel, and press go. And essentially we get one object back from the filtered, which should be the Sofitel object inside. So if I go in here, you can see here Sofitel Legend, Santa Clara, Columbia. So it's got a swimming pool as a feature, and it's also got per night of 374. So let's check that is matching. Columbia 374 per night, and the title is the same, so that is matching, which is correct. So we know that is working and that filter has worked. So what I also want to do is check if there isn't a hotel. So let's do test. So essentially what will happen is the filtered should only return an empty array, because there's no title that is called test in our database. So if I press go, you can see here it's an empty array because there's nothing that matches. So we just need to handle that in the front end now on our UI. So instead of filtered now, I also have this set filtered hotels here. So instead of creating a constant for it, what I'm going to do is wrap it in a set filtered hotels like this, which means that filtered hotels now will be updated instead of what we use console logging. So then now we have access to the filtered hotels, and we can then map through that in our return block. So first of all, what I want to do is outside of this div here, I'm going to create a new one. This will render our UI, and this is essentially going to check filtered hotels dot length. If it has a length and that's true, then we want to render a certain UI. So it will be filtered hotels dot map. For each hotel, we want to render a div. This div will have the class name of search title, and inside the div, what I'm going to do is render a h1 saying the hotel that we get back dot title, and you can render more, but that is fine for now. And what we want to do is close this div off like so. So if filtered hotels has a length, then we want to render this here. So we just need to close this off. And then what we want to do is an else block. So the else block is in here. And what that's going to say is no hotels are found. So let's just paste a H1 in here of no hotels found. Now, if I save, what I want to do is check this. So initially there are no hotels found for test, which is correct. But if we went back into Sofitel and pressed go, you can see here the title is rendered on Sofitel Legend Santa Clara. And if we test another one, so let's test this one, which is Olema House Point Reyes. So let's type in Olema and press go. You can see the title is rendered there. So let's clean this up a little bit. And essentially what I want to do is instead of showing a card, we can link this to the search hotel details. So in all hotels, we have no hotels at the minute. So if we refresh, something's happened with the database. It was lagging a little bit. So if we click view more information, you can see here hotels slash the ID of the hotel. So what I want to do is click through to this individual page. So if we go back in search, and what I want to do is instead of just a H1, I'm going to wrap a link tag around here to link it to the correct hotel. So link to is equal to backticks, and in the backticks is going to be slash hotels slash the hotel ID. So this selector, and we want to access this hotel. The template strings in here, we can pass in the hotel ID like so. And then I'm going to cut this out and return it in here. So now if I save, what I've got is for each item in here, we have for each div, we have a key because we're mapping over something. We are wrapping it in a H1, so link to /hotel/hotel.id. If there are no hotels that are filtered, then we want to return this H1 here saying no hotels are found. So what I also want to do is add a few more class names, and then we'll bring in the styles so it looks a little better in here. And one more class name is here. So now if I go in here and go into my index.css, I'm going to bring in all of the styles that I have for the search and paste them in. This all will be loaded in the repo in the description. So I'll now save all. And if we view this, you can see now we have, if we type in Olema, which is a hotel name, I want to click there. I now have Olema House Point Reyes. And if I click on this, I then go to the card for the Olema House Point Reyes with more information. And if I type in test and click go, you can see here test is there, and we can't click through to anything there. So that is how we have the search functionality on our application. What we could also do is optimize performance on here. So what I'm going to do is comment out all of the search use states. So if I comment this out, and the reason we want to comment this out is every time we do an import, so every time we type something, that causes a re-render with useState on the event. So what we essentially want to do is just get access to the value of the input. So whenever we type in here, each time the component is being rendered. So what we essentially want to do is get some sort of pointer that looks at this input and then gets the value when we just press go. So that is done with a useRef. So if we comment out all of the search pieces of state in here, and I'm going to create a new search ref now this time. So const search ref is equal to useRef, and that's going to be an HTML import element of null initially. So now what we want to do is access the search ref. So if we go down, we need to do a check in the handle search function, meaning it, which is saying essentially the same as what is above there. So if searchref.current.value is equal to an empty string return, but in our case it is null because that is what we set at the top over here. So that one's handled there. And then here we need to do something as well. So if it includes searchref.current.value, and we don't want to lowercase this, we have a bit of an error here. So what we want to do is fix this, and we use TypeScript conversion, which is essentially stating we want this as a string. So it's going to be as string, which eliminates that error there. And then the final one is on the import. So this is going to be ref is equal to the search ref. And have we missed it anywhere else? Probably. So that is all fine. So if I save, essentially we want to refresh the page and type in test now and press go. Nothing has happened. But if we type in Olema and press go, you can see it's found the value of what was in here and essentially has rendered out the correct title there. So now if I click through, it still finds the ID for the hotel, and you can see here the relevant information is rendered on this card. So yeah, that is everything on the search functionality working, and the search page is now working correctly. So you have two options. You could either use the useState option or the useRef option. For performance and for re-rendering, it is better to use the useRef because in this case, all we want to do is essentially get the value when we press the go button. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.